Alright, so I'm gonna quickly go over the concept of fermentation and anaerobic respiration. So in aerobic respiration, we're using oxygen. So in contrast, for fermentation and anaerobic respiration, it is essentially what happens when there's no oxygen present. So it's an alternative. And the difference between these two is that anaerobic respiration has an electron transport chain, while fermentation doesn't. However, in anaerobic respiration, the electron transport chain doesn't use oxygen as the final electron acceptor at the end of the chain, unlike aerobic respiration. Instead, it uses some other less electronegative substance as the final electron acceptor, such as the sulfate ion. It can also accept electrons instead of oxygen. So yeah, that's basically anaerobic respiration. And there are two types of anaerobes: obligate anaerobes and facultative anaerobes, as you can see. So the difference is obligate anaerobes is they carry out only fermentation or anaerobic respiration, and facultative anaerobes, they can make enough ATP to survive using either fermentation or respiration. And yeah, that's anaerobic respiration. Now let's go over fermentation. So fermentation is a way of harvesting energy without oxygen or the electron transport chain. And it basically consists of glycolysis and reactions that regenerate NAD+ by transferring electrons from NADH to pyruvate or derivatives of pyruvate. And there's two types of fermentation. There's alcohol fermentation and lactic acid fermentation. So let's go over alcohol fermentation first. That's what it looks like. So just like aerobic respiration, we start with glucose. We go through glycolysis, forming 2 pyruvate and 2 ATP. However, from here, the 2 pyruvate is going to form 2 acetaldehyde. And then while it's forming that, it'll give off 2 carbon dioxide gas. And then from there, it's going to go through NAD+ regeneration, forming 2 molecules of ethanol. And while this is going on, in glycolysis there will be 2 NAD+, forming 2 NADH. And then, while the NAD+ regeneration is happening, the NADH gives off the 2 hydrogen ions for ethanol to form, and then it becomes 2 NAD+ again. So this cycle just keeps going in this process. So that's alcohol fermentation. Now, lactic acid fermentation. So it's essentially very similar. You start with glucose, go through glycolysis, forming 2 ATP, and then NAD+ also forms 2 NADH. But from 2 pyruvate, you go straight into forming 2 lactate in this case. The pyruvate doesn't turn into something else. It just goes straight and then forms 2 lactate, which is an ionized form of lactic acid. And then the same way as before, 2 NAD+ becomes 2 NADH, and then it gives off its H+ ions to form lactate. And it just goes in a cycle, like so. So yeah, that's it. That's fermentation. And that concludes cellular respiration and its alternate mechanisms. That's it.